Hey guys, welcome to episode, I believe it's 15, Dazza?
I think it's 16 now.
It's 16? Okay,
I can't remember. But anyway, it's either 15 or 16. Yeah.
Cool.
One of those numbers will
Whatever
work.
it is, welcome guys. Dazza, today we're going to be chatting about FSG and the elephant in the room, as well as the Southampton game. So, what would you like to discuss first?
Let's just let's go straight out with the game.
All right, let's do the game.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of talking points in that game. 3-1 scoreline. I'll go through points and then I guess we'll discuss from here. I mean, it was Nunes 2 goals, Robertson 2 assists. Attacking wise, it was pretty good. There was obviously the goal that we conceded was shocking defending from the set piece. And to be fair, Allison kept us in that game in the last 20 minutes. I mean, we were 3-1 up, but he did 3 really important saves that really saved our bacon in a way. Because, even if it went to 3-2 with 15 minutes to go, it would have been a pretty scary kind of end of the game. But yeah, just so much. Yeah, just they're allowed to pass the ball around too much around in and around our 18-yard box, and it's just like we've been saying it from the beginning of the season as well. I think Fabinho's been off the pace. Even Van Dijk was off the pace a bit. I mean, there was a couple of moments in there where Van Dijk did really well. Just normal Van Dijk stuff. I guess we're privileged to seeing, but over and all, I'm obviously happy with the 3 points. A 3-1 win at home. Darwin Núñez scoring 2 goals, which was really good. Just still lacked just that intensity in times. I know we had possession quite a lot of the game as well, but then when the opposition did get possession, they again, like I've been saying from the beginning of the season, the opposition have been looking very threatening against our defence. The starting lineup, as soon as I saw Joe Gomez in there, I started to get scared. I don't know. I don't know why Canade wasn't in the middle of defence there with Van Dijk. I was kind of looking to see if there was more, but yeah. Look, no discredit to Gomez. I like him, but he makes me nervous because he's so inconsistent. I do like the diamond midfield, especially at the moment when you got Bobby just behind, and I've said this before, Salah and Núñez partnering up front, because I've always said Salah needs more. Even though he's running down the flanks a lot in that game, but he needs that option to be able to run down the centre a lot, which he does with Núñez, and the running into the channels by Núñez and Salah has been pretty good. But yeah, I don't know why you're not playing Canade in that game. Why would you pick Gomez over Canade? That was my biggest, when I seen that lineup, I'm like, yeah, like I said, when I see the Gomez on the team sheet, I get nervous. I do. I'm just like, because you don't know what game he's going to come, because sometimes you'll play a blinder and other times he just has an absolute complete brain snap. So those are just my running thoughts off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, there's more I'm sure we'll discuss as it goes on. But yeah, what were your thoughts, Andrew?
Difficult game, because it could have been a game for me that could have ended 3-3. And this conversation would be very different.
Yes.
They could have won the game 4-3. You actually guessed correctly, 3-1, by the way. And I think that should mean something. We should give away something.
We'll give away an Aussie Reds t-shirt. We don't have them yet, but we will get them.
We'll start taking notes. And it could have been 6-1 to Liverpool. So it was one of those games where 3-1 was probably a fair result. In terms of both teams, I thought Liverpool obviously played better than we did against Tottenham, but the 3 clear-cut chances, they had 3 clear-cut, not just on target, clear-cut chances. And when me and Daz were watching the game again on highlights, the 3-minute highlights, see, I always judge our performance. Also, a big factor of what I judge our performance, Dazza, is how easy our chances were for the opposition.
Yeah.
I think we didn't always have hold in that midfield. I don't think Fabinho had hold of that midfield. Thiago played well in the first half in particular. I think he's
he
got
did.
that. He's got that dictating, playmaker where he can. Every time he's got the ball, you don't know what he's going to do. Like he's always, he looks sharp. He can twist and turn. He can.
I know, it's insane. Like, he's like
one turn and then
Stretch
run
Armstrong with his body. Like he just, you're right. You can't dictate where he's going to go. And he pulls off some of these passes. You're just like, how did you get that around like that? And and that's right. But there was a couple of times there in the game where he let away some sloppy passes in some key areas of possession, which was a bit concerning at times. Because the last thing we need to do at the moment when it seems to be that Van Dijk's not in the form he was in last year, and then you got Joe Gomez is to lose possession in that middle of the park and catch us on the counter, which makes it very, which can, so if Thiago's having a horrible game and Fabinho, well, man, we're in some serious trouble, which we've had games before where they've done it, but
and then bringing on Millie, I didn't think made any sense, but anyway, I think Klopp was a bit worried, but in the second half, that's why he brought on James Milner. Now, for me, I think the problem when you play Paul in the midfield, it is the most exposed suspect part of the game to not have control. It is so evident because if your front line isn't performing, it's not as easy to identify as if the midfield was not performing. And I thought in the second half, we certainly didn't have the control that we would like to, considering a team is currently 19th in the Premier League. So for me, I always judge our performance on the clear-cut chances, and I thought the 3 chances, especially the first 2, the goal first of all from Adams. You and I were watching, we were laughing at Trent Alexander-Arnold. He was marking the referee, man.
You had Van Dijk and Gomez, and you had Adams, who's not a real tall fella, ahead of Van Dijk, ball like he was ball side of Van Dijk. Goal side, right? So like I just found like that goal that we conceded of Southampton, like I don't know, just rookie defense errors that you wouldn't expect a team like us to do.
Yeah, and that's that gets me worried because I still feel like the Nottingham Forest, the Leeds, the Fulham, the Crystal Palace, the Brighton, those inclinations that we have in the game is still very evident, which we didn't have last season. And it's more or less the same team, right? Like, I know we got a lot of injuries, but I'm thinking Firmino's banging hot in form. I thought Harvey Elliott played all right. I thought Thiago in the second half was average. The first half, I think it was fantastic. Fabinho, I don't know what. It's just Fabinho lately. I thought Eddie Robertson, I know he had the 2 assists, and I think he overall had a pretty decent game. But I thought sometimes he wasn't always defending as tight as he should. And if you can see Alisson, who's our best defensive player at the moment, because if Alisson's not in goals, that game's finishing 3-3 days.
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
I'm very confident.
Awesome saves, like 2 1-on-1s, and that header by Adams again, I'm pretty sure it was, and that reaction. Oh man, that was just and they all came in the space of like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? And like. Look, we had a couple of extra chances that we probably should have. I mean, Salah was probably really unlucky not to bury one in the first half. Van Dijk had a couple of headers towards the end that kind of just went,
Salah, he puts away the difficult chances.
Yeah, so he had that ball, that beautiful ball when Nunez cut across, and he didn't quite lift it enough. Or, keeper saved it. Was for me, the sparks of the game was I think Firmino's header was good. It was great. It was good to see Nunez getting 2 goals because that's just only going to elevate his confidence. 100%, and it's really good for him to get that right before the World Cup. We're just at before, to be fair, I'm not good for him in Uruguay, but like more so the fact that he's got a couple of goals under his belt in one game before the break for 6 or so weeks. So so no Premier League now for the next till Boxing Day.
Yeah,
weird.
And in our match predictions, it's funny that we both predicted, even though you were right in terms of the scoreline, the fact that we would concede. I mean, this is troubling because if we're conceding to Southampton, conceding to Nottingham Forest, conceding to Leeds, that should tell us that should hopefully, which will lead us into the next discussion point. Unless there's anything else you want to say about Southampton, for me, it's so worrying. And Daz, I think I texted you about how Carragher said the same thing that I said about we've got to double down just January, just in midfield signings. We don't need to forget everything else. Just midfield signings.
Yeah, just focus on the midfield. Yeah.
Canada, I agree with you. Canada should be centre back with Van Dijk.
Every time he plays lately, he's just a beast. The guy, I love the guy. He's just strong. He's just
fast.
Strong, fast. He out muscles his opponents. He's just. And
I thought against Napoli he was better than Van Dijk.
Yeah. I'd say that too. Yeah. He's been. He's. I don't know why you'd bench him with. As I said, if we've got any other games coming up,
I think he wanted to.
I don't know. I
Gomez.
I don't know. Look, and like I said, no discredit to go. I do like Gomez. I think but he's just inconsistent for me at the moment. And if Gomez can stay fit and not get injured, I think he has the potential to be a hell of a lot better. But that's the problem with Joe Gomez is he over how many years he's been with Liverpool, like he was sold there for a while and then he gets injured, then he's out for a few months and then he comes back and it takes him a while to come back, I guess, like any player. But he makes me nervous when I see him on the team sheet, Gomez, if I'm being honest at the moment. Just like, I don't know. I mean, he does some good stuff. He's a great, like I said, he's a great player. He does some great stuff, but he doesn't give me the ease and comfort like Canade does.
No, I agree with you, but I still think he's a front of Maguire in the England squad.
Oh yeah, he's.
I mean, who's the centre back for England next to Stones? Because obviously Stones is the best English centre back right now for sure.
Yeah,
you got Maguire, Dyer, or Gomez?
Yeah, I suppose you'd probably go Gomez, if I'm being honest.
Over Dyer.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably.
I don't rate Dyer at all, really.
No, see, I'm not really a massive Dyer fan either. I don't know. I think he just does the basics. He doesn't do anything out of spectacularly or anything like that. There
was a guy in high school, Daz, that reminds you, and I can't remember his name. Maybe you can think about it later on. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Nothing's coming to mind at the moment, but
there's someone. Anyway, you shouldn't say his name even if it does come to mind.
Yeah. True.
So, all right, the elephant in the room, right? So we've discussed Southampton. For me, look, if we don't buy players in January, these mistakes that we're getting away with Allison pulling off worldies in world-class goalkeeping, this is going to bite us in the ass eventually. So this was my thoughts when I heard about FSG in terms of a takeover. This is my thoughts, Daz, and once I finish, I want you to comment on that and see if you agree or disagree. For me, it makes sense for FSG to keep 10%. Now, the reason that I say keep 10% is because there's going to be more scrutiny in terms of who comes in. Because there's absolutely right now, let's say Liverpool has a $4 billion evaluation. If Twitter can be sold for $44 billion, there's absolutely no reason that Liverpool as an institution cannot double their money in 5 years. So provided that the right investment is made. Klopp staying for another 4 years is obviously goes without saying. But if Klopp with like $500 million to invest into that squad, that $500 million is going to make our club worth probably at least $2.5 billion more long term. So if we keep FSG, provided that they're going to bring in a billionaire that can afford $4.5 billion, right? The ones that can obviously then reinvest at least $500 million into transfers, obviously got the financial fair play and all that sort of crap. But I think it makes sense because if we just sell the club outright, then FSG not going to have any invested interest in who they sell it off to. They can say some bullshit PR all they like about, whatever's in the best interest of the club. I think right now, Darren, they're seeing Newcastle getting taken over. They're seeing the fact that the writing's on the wall now. And as I mentioned to you, as I've been saying from the start, the amount of money that they're going to need to spend to get back to where we are is just ultimately, I wouldn't say 10xing, but it's at least doubling every single year for us to compete at the standard in which we are. So we need $200 million, $250 million, I think, to get back to where we want to be as a club. I think what Klopp has done on a shoestring budget has been a miracle. But for me, I think they realise it, Darren. They've got a choice to make: invest amount of money that they don't want to invest, or sell off to other shareholders. For me, they can clearly see they're not willing to do what it takes to invest it. So selling it off, but allowing them to stay involved, I think it's probably in the best interest of Liverpool Football Club, because they're going to make sure that whoever comes in is going to do what they can't do, and that's invest.
Yeah, okay, and that's valid. And I can't see FSG parting ways 100%. Because initially it came out in the media that they were kind of fishing around for shareholders and stuff like that, which I thought was more of like just an easing into the media rather than just come out saying we're selling Liverpool. Maybe because you're probably coming from a vulnerable perspective if you do that, because then you think, maybe we can get. They're probably just playing it smart by not coming out blatantly saying that they want to sell the club, but maybe they want to. Maybe they are true with what they're saying and they want shareholders in, and maybe that makes sense, is that maybe they need to part ways with a percentage of the club in order for them to, I guess, escape, still be involved in the club and still get what they want out of it, and whilst at the same time lessening that pressure and that pressure from the club and football in general to spend more and more and more every year. Because like you just said before, is that they know that the writing's on the wall. They know they need to spend, and are they willing to do it? Probably, I don't think so, because that's why they probably come out saying that they want shareholders in there to float some more money in there, because I don't think they want to really dip into their back pocket as much. That's why, like you said, like I think you said last year, they've known there's been issues going on in the midfield. I mean, what's happening in midfield's diabolical to a certain degree for a team like us with the success that we've had over the last number of years to not reinvest back in that squad. They know now that by them not doing anything, it's just like it's just made it worse, and they've got to spend more money. So now they want shareholders to come in again to lessen that load of financial pressure, so they can be like, we don't have to spend all of it. We've got a certain. So you're probably right with that. And to be fair, I think that's probably what they're thinking, is that they're either they still need a stake in the club because they still want to keep their. They still want their returns as well, whilst at the same time escaping that. How was it, for lack of a better word, escaping that responsibility of investing more money into the club.
And also, I think too, and what I would say onto that is the club might actually lose value. Okay, they bought it. They bought Liverpool in 2010, and I've been wanting them out since 2017. But they bought the club 7 years after they bought the club. They bought it from Hicks and Gillett for $300 million. If they sell it for $4 billion, that's not in the best interest of the football club. That's in the best interest of their back pocket, good luck to you, right? I mean, that's an enormous profit, right? So take that and give it to someone now who can turn that $4 billion into $8 billion. And the only way that's going to happen is you've got to invest back into the team. And the problem is the amount of money to do that now. And obviously they don't want to lose value, because if we keep going,
we will lose value.
We'll lose value. So they're linking crap. We can cash out now at $4 billion. And I think too, Darren, I can't remember who said it. It might have been someone on Talk Sport. I think they were banking on the European Super League.
Yeah, you're probably right. See, I haven't really thought too much about it. The European Super League is far gone out of my brain. But yeah, they probably, you know what, they probably were.
They were.
Maybe a lot of these clubs were like Barcelona and stuff like that, and look what's happened to them. And they're like Barcelona. I don't look at the La Liga, but I just look at the Champions League, and they bowed out, didn't they? They're in the Europa League now.
They're in the Europa. Yeah.
Like
and
that's pretty full on for a club like Barcelona to do that, like to fall into that level. But it happens. I mean, it happened to AC Milan. They went terrible for years. And mid-table, and that was such a massive. I mean, we had 2 Champions League finals with AC Milan back in early 2000s, right, or early to mid 2000s, wherever, what do you call it?
I used to love the Euros. We had good Euros with AC Milan.
Yeah, but now they're nowhere anymore. AC Milan, like they're just
I don't know, but I think for us, man, like we're gonna have to. Whether people like a Middle Eastern consortium or not, the point is.
Well, there was a talk of some Indian billionaire today, and the same guy who owns like the Indian Super League in the cricket or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about him or his money or his. I heard that of an Indian multi-billionaire.
There's only a certain number of billionaires going to buy football clubs, right?
Correct, man.
And it's not a good. I mean, for strictly business, unless you pick up Liverpool for $3.5 million. And there's not a great return on investment in the business world. ROI is huge, return on investment, right? And there's not. And when you buy football clubs, generally they're not great. It's you're putting money into a project that you believe is going to obviously lend you credibility in the business world. It's going to obviously put your other businesses on for show because people know who you are. Like, I think it's a bit of a show when people buy football clubs. I don't think it's always about why would billionaires really want to invest in. I mean, we can go to $8 billion. I really do think Liverpool's is a global brand. It can, but it's going to. I don't think people are doing it, but it's not going to be easy. And number one, and we're going to need a huge investment from Asia. We're going to need what Man United did with Park Jin-sung, where we was actually a pretty good footballer, but they bought that because of the shirt sales. I mean, the shirt sales for the Manchester United fans in Asia.
Yeah, and those are little smart little things inside football business that you don't really, like you wonder why certain players get signed. And you think, well, look at the
commercial side of it.
Look at the commercial side of it. You know what I mean? Look at a big name signing, and all the kids go out and grab that shirt. That's just a small facet of the little things that happen. You know what I mean?
But if you have a look, like Barcelona is big, pretty much among Spanish or Portuguese at times as well. But you look at clubs like Liverpool, Manchester United. I think they're more globally spread across the world. I think they're huge in Asia. They're huge in South America. They're obviously huge in Europe, but Asia is huge for Liverpool and Man United.
Yeah, I think like your Barcelona and your Real Madrid is more of like a household name. When people don't know much about football, they know who Real Madrid is or Barcelona. But people who are in, that's just from my opinion, from our upbringing here. Yeah, from our upbringing here, is that you also like I used to know people that don't really watch football much wearing Real Madrid jerseys. I'm like, why'd you get? Oh, just I've seen because they've seen it, the marketing side of things and like that, I mean that's from our experience. Or you see PSG jerseys getting around here, and you think. Like that's
yeah, I know. I mean, Daz, if you ever looked at Liverpool, look, we're probably biased, but if you buy Liverpool, and the reason I think you can double your money, even if you do spend something ridiculous as $4 billion, is because the club's got as Jose Mourinho would say, football heritage. I mean, Liverpool's got heritage, it's got history, it's prestige, it's got a real history that you can look at and think there's something. I think Anfield is the most special football stadium in the world. There's just something about it, man. Like there's magic about it, right?
I 100% agree. Like the atmosphere of that stadium. I've been there a few times. I think it's a feeling it gives you as well. It's not just seeing; it's just everything around, everyone there. Like I remember talking to someone, I think a couple of years ago about the atmospheres between sport and stuff like that. And, you haven't had experience until you've been to a State of Origin game. And I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. I've been to a State of Origin game this year in rugby league this year. And it was the most disappointing experience I've had in my life. Because I've been to Anfield with 45,000, back in the day when it held 45,000. I think it's 55 or 60,000.
It's 54, I think.
Yeah. And I was at ANZ Stadium here in Sydney when they had the Rugby League State of Origin with 80,000 people packed out there. And I was disappointed. The atmosphere was not what I expected it to be, like what people were telling me, we haven't seen atmosphere since you've been to State of Origin. When you're at Anfield, every single person in that stadium is singing, yelling, throwing their hands up in the air, calling foul, doing everything. It is the most intense atmosphere. It's just pure love. It's pure. The emotions are running high that whole time you're in that game.
I think Liverpool have gotten to Champions League finals. I don't think only because of the 12th man, but I think the second legs have always been, or the home leg.
Statistically, our second legs have been it's
at home.
Anfield loves the European night because of that one reason. We just everyone
just turn up.
Yeah, 100%. That's right.
Yeah, and I think people don't realise the impact. But yeah, I mean, for me, mate, it's going to be, I think it's Middle Eastern or the Indian or the billionaire from India or whatever, whoever it is. I mean, look, we can talk about human rights and whatnot, but the fact is, they're the one. They got the money. So what are you going to? What are they going to do? I mean, if we can sell it to a group of Liverpool fans that have got billions of dollars, well, all the better. But I don't know. For me, this is football, and you can't expect.
I want it to go. You want it to go to the right owner. I don't care if that right owner is, as long as they're the right owner.
But we're not experts in geopolitics, Darren.
100%, man, and that's what we won't know. And unfortunately, we got no say in it. Obviously, for obvious reasons, we just we're at the mercy of those conditions. So we just fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I highly doubt anything will happen before the World Cup. I reckon we're probably looking obviously into next year, maybe. I mean, the pressure will be on come January. Now, whether or not but the only thing that worries me about that is now that gives them a reason not to spend. Maybe I don't know. Hang on a minute, we've got to wait for we've got all this going on. We're fine. We can't spend too much now, and so just pulled the pin at the right time. Maybe we could have this conversation at the end of January in early February and think maybe. FSG could have done a dodgy here too. So they could be just trying to pull the pin just before January, before the pressure mounts on them, and then during January they got the excuse of we're trying to get shareholders to and rah. So,
and they're like, party. I read somewhere that they're going to give us a parting gift, which is Jude Bellingham. Well, you know what? I'll believe that when I see it because I don't think that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I think. Look, I can't believe that we actually are talking about them selling the club because I didn't think that was going to actually happen.
Yeah, it wasn't weird. We spoke about it again. I mean, it's probably like a weekly occurrence for us on this show, right? I think we spoke about it last week on Monday, and then I think it was like the next day or the 2 days later.
It come out.
And then it's funny when we first said at the beginning of the season, FSG, we had so many people going, you don't know. Now the tides are starting to turn a bit. You still got people saying that they run the club good, and they have. I've got no, but like we've said 100 times, I'll probably say it again. I'm repeating myself again every week. That you said this as well, but it's actually you're the one who said it, and I agree with it. Is that they got lucky with Klopp, and that's the only reason we've been successful. Not the only reason, but one of the biggest reasons. Put it that way.
I mean, we nearly got successful with Brendan Rodgers, but Suarez was bought by Kenny.
Kenny bought Suarez. Kenny bought Andy Carroll.
And Charlie
I'm going to be honest, man. I actually when we bought Andy Carroll, I loved Andy Carroll when he played for Newcastle. And then I got excited when he came and I really wanted him to go well. But it just unfortunately didn't, So
never got the Uruguayan Andy Carroll.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, far out, man. But no, actually, I mean, Yeah. Or you could be like Brendan Rodgers, who called Joe Allen the Welsh Savvy.
And that he was quoted of saying, "I would have paid many more millions." Well, thank God, bro, you didn't.
What was it? I said
The
that to a
Welsh
friend of
Savvy.
mine. He goes, he didn't say that, did he? I'm like, yeah, there's a YouTube video out there that's like, he goes, the Welsh Savvy. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
He said he's the Welsh Savvy,
Yeah.
and he said he would have paid more money for him. Well, anyway.
Thank God he didn't.
Yeah, man. Well, we spent 35 million on any car, which probably has to be. And that Markovic, 20 million he bought Did he buy Markovic?
Yeah, I think so. And he didn't really get much of a run. He got injured for a bit and then he wasn't.
20 million, man. Like back then,
Yeah.
that's like signing that's like signing Haaland for 56 now.
Yeah, I know, eh? Like it's insane, isn't it? Yeah.
It's bad. All right.
Mm.
Thanks
All
a
right,
lot,
dude.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Please
Have a good one.
Please let us know what you think in the comment section. And Dazza will hurry up and make some clips from last week's video.
I made a clip today. I got one clip out today, and I will make
Legend.
more of these clips as well.
So you make a couple more from last week's, and we'll make some more going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm trying. Yeah, well, some of them it's just hard because I've been so busy. Some of the clips I can't make now because it's just so time sensitive, so I can't put out